Millions, you feel me? Griffin takes militant. Now spin it back, let's move it forward. Get caught out on our toes, no we can't afford. Know your past, cause your present you cannot avoid. We gotta bring it back just to move it forward.
Professor Griff, welcome to the RMN podcast. How are you, sir, in Atlanta?
I'm all right. Weather is beautiful over here. It's getting kind of cold, but you know, we're adjusting. The creator's making it gracious for us and moves in and out of these seasons real smooth and gentle like, so we get prepared. Yep.
It must be amazing to live somewhere where it's not just rain every day.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. And then culturally speaking, there's so much music that's happening in Atlanta. We got the Afro beats popping off, of course, house, of course, hip hop, of course, underground hip hop. We got drill, trap, all kind of things happening. And then I'm slowly making my way through the back door of this EDM market. So I crept in the back door the other night, peeked my head in. I said, okay.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a second. Just so people understand, Griff, that I mean, obviously, look, you're an absolute legend in the music industry. You're in the Hall of Fame. But how did you get into the music industry? What was your sort of first points to get into the whole scene in the first place?
We kind of figured back in the late 70s. There's a gentleman, he owns a website, headquarters.com. His name is Earl Holder. He's a bass player. Me and that gentleman was in a band together when I was in the military. Something like the Jimi Hendrix story. So I was a drummer. In a band in 1970, 78, 79. I was a drummer in a band in the military.
You don't look that old, mate. You don't look that old. Come on.
Yeah, but I am. But that was in Kansas City, Kansas, at Fort Leavenworth. I was the drummer. Then hip hop was already on the scene, so it was like, yeah, I came back to New York. The hip hop thing was happening, and of course, you know, back during high school in the late 70s, I was already a DJ, so I was making a connection and making things happen. So I was a DJ. I was already a drummer in a band. I played percussions in another band. And then, you know, yeah, that's how I got my introduction to it. And then I was a DJ again, DJ Griff, for quite some time. So I was, of course, you already know the story of Spectrum City. I was in Spectrum City with the Bomb Squad. Yeah.
Amazing. And how did it first then develop then? That, I mean, I know some people may know the story and it'll be well known in America, but for the UK punters, how did you get, you know, how did that progress then from that, you know, into the Public Enemy situation? How did that all evolve?
Well, the same people that I was in the DJing unit with, Spectrum, I had another unit called Unity Force, which we did security for the gigs, with Ed Lover, Dr. Dre, of course Chuck D, of course Hank and Keith Shockley, some other people, that Jerry J, and some other people that was part of our unit. So we had a big unit that did kind of different things. And then when Chuck got the deal with Def Jam, of course he used to work with Flavor at the radio station at Adelphi. So they had a relationship. We had a relationship. The rest of us had a relationship. So when Chuck got the deal, he just kind of brought the rest of us on to do what we've always been doing.
Amazing. And of course, the legacy of Public Enemy is massive all over the world. But you've been working, I mean, obviously, you know, the sort of movement away from Public Enemy for a minute. You've been working on your own music and your own rap stuff. So give us a bit of background about that as well, because I mean, one of the tracks has just entered the UK dance chart, number 35. Fuct'd, amazing track, kind of going into the kind of EDM, but that was released before, obviously, as a rap track. So kind of give us a bit of vibe about what you've been working on in the States, so over there with your own music.
Well, I've always had music out. It was just more so of the conscious kind of underground scene, and it had its own niche, and it kind of lived there. So then, you know, I just kind of took some time off to do some other things, got some certificates in order, you know, to pay the bills, did some other things. I did a blog talk thing. I did a podcast thing that I'm still doing. It was Enemy Minds at first, now it's Serious Minds. So then I said to myself, okay, well, there has to be some kind of alternative for people that really want to listen to conscious music. So I went back to the drawing board. And a lot of people don't know that I'm a producer. I've been a producer for years and years and years. So I went back to the drawing board and I put together Energy Code, my last album, which was a few years ago. At the same time, I did half of my wife's album. I got married 5 years ago to an artist. Her name is Soleil. She's had music out back in the day. I finished half of her album. Then I did my album, and the music was out there living in its own space. Living in its own space through the pandemic. It wasn't until certain people, this guy named Rory, I don't know if you know him, came along and said, listen, man, you have something here. Let's see what we can do on this side of the pond. So here we are.
I perform exorcism on the rhythm after diving into the vault of river for baptism. My raps live inside of your body, cause they embody the kind of godly perfection you find in the mind of Swami, surviving the kamikaze, flagging into the lobby of Geffen to stop them effing with culture. They made it sloppy. They say it takes militants. I say it takes millions and brilliance. You feel me? Griff, it takes militants. Now spin it back, let's move it forward. Get caught out on our toes, no we can't afford. Know your past cause your present you cannot avoid. We gotta bring it back just to move it forward. Now spin it back, let's move it forward. Get caught out on our toes, no we can't afford. Know your past cause your present you cannot avoid. We gotta bring it back just to move it forward.
I testify that the memory in the melanin, tell them the essence that they guess will activate the God body. The party part of me spinning rap and grooving. School with the proper tools, show and prove in the cipher. Hyper, freedom fighter, scrolls and scripts, standing on the corner writing anger with the brain cells lit. Higher, data with the grip. The black fish is essential, mystery, carpet, essential, mission, the principle, sinister, gentrification is down. Got them uptown, trading out across the crown. How profound is the negative now? They got them fixed, stop the frisk, cause they wanted it down. But fuck.
Yeah, and what's amazing and what's intriguing for me is look, you know, I mean, I've been in the music industry for years, a bit like yourself. I'm one of those guys that's been around for a long time, but I've always loved rap music, and I've always intrigued. And way back in the day, I know the name now maybe is not as as it once was, but years and years and years ago, Africa Bambaataa did a record, and it was kind of mixed up in a kind of dance way in the rave days, and I thought that was really cool. And then and with yourself, I mean, you've just got this amazing voice and character, but also I think the subject matters of your songs are so, I mean, they're so strong, they're so they've got so much meaning behind them, and I think it's that takes it to a different platform, because it's real, and I think the combination between rap music, because rap music came from the streets, if you like, and you take EDM music, which really kind of was an underground thing. It was illegal. It was something that people, it was kind of deemed a naughty thing, if you like, in Europe for in the beginning. And I think the two cultures kind of merged really well, but it's not been done a lot. So and here we are with the record in the chat. What's your take on EDM, Griff? Because I mean, obviously we hear you talking about rap music all the time and all the different artists and things, but I mean, what's your take on the kind of EDM world?
Well, let me answer that question directly, but let me backtrack for a second. I never had an inkling of an idea, of a thought, of a premise, of a that any one of my songs would even end up on the chart over in England on an EDM chart. I was thinking maybe underground hip hop, maybe on somebody's playlist, maybe somewhere some obscure young cat still into Public Enemy and everything, but never on an EDM chart, electronic dance music chart. Never, because I think I kind of stuck with what Chuck D said a long time ago. We want to make music that Black women cannot dance to, forcing people to listen. So I kind of stuck with that. So a lot of the songs I make, they're not for dancing. They're made for people you can nod your head to it, but more so listening and taking it in. I heard a gentleman online, he was doing some magical things with 4 and 5 different instruments. And I was blown away. I just said, to hell with it, let me contact him. So when I contacted him, we talked for 2 hours straight. He already knew about me, and we had a beautiful conversation, and I ended up featuring him. His name was Ohini Savant. Yeah. I ended up featuring him on my album. He's one of the only individuals. There's only 3 other individuals that I featured on my album, and most of the people I featured, no one really knows. So I featured him on one of the tracks on the album, and we came up with this concept that if we don't get it right this time and reach our people and reach the human family with this message, then F it. You understand what I'm saying? We said,
yeah.
That's why we called it fucked. We're fucked if we don't make this happen. So, yeah.